And now let's have a conversation with Ademola Oshodi on the significance of Modi's visit and, of course, the agreement reached with Nigeria. Oshodi is a policy and development analyst, and we also have in the studio Sriram Venkateswaran, who is an Indian investor in Nigeria. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you.
Of course, we've just witnessed the historic visit of, the Prime Minister Modi into Nigeria. Let me start from you. How significant is this visit between the two nations, India and, of course, Nigeria?
It's obviously very, very significant, coming as it does after 17 years. With the condition that we find ourselves in, wars all across the world, India is one of those countries which has always been pushing for peace, and it seems to be in a position to be able to negotiate with warring countries all across the world. As the most populous nation in Africa, Nigeria is equally poised to do so because it represents a large number of people. President Tinubu represents a sizable part of Nigeria, a sizable part of Africa, just like Prime Minister Modi represents the subcontinent in a huge way. Between the two leaders, they have a huge influence because of the strength of the population that's backing them. And I think in the present situation where they're both in the G20, I'm sure they'll discuss matters of global importance, including how to put an end to the wars, including how to improve situations on so many other fronts. Food security, for example, is one of the very crucial, important issues. Global energy security is another very important issue. And there could be several other issues that they would be discussing. Counterterrorism, India finds itself in problems, so does Nigeria. So I'm sure these kind of situations will all be on the table.
Let me come to you, Oshodi. I mean, some Nigerians or analysts have argued that Nigeria needs to strategically position herself, to take advantage of this type of visit or relations. Speak to us. What step do you think Nigeria needs to take, perhaps to ensure that this visit or this partnership translates to tangible results for both countries?
Thank you. It can be understated. The visit is very significant for Nigeria. Nigeria, I believe, needs India more. The visit is extremely symbolic. It shows a lot of care and interest the president has with his relations with Prime Minister Modi and the country of India, giving him this grand title of the Grand Commander of the Niger. And and bestowing him a very much welcome, like a state visit. India has been a great trading partner with Nigeria. Most of our oil exports actually go to India than any other country, and India has been culturally and politically close to Nigeria, from the non-aligned movement, from the G20, even Nigeria's aspiration for BRICS. So India has been this leader in the global south, Nigeria being a leader in Africa. It's important that these major powers come together and write their own prosperity, their own history, especially regarding trade, regarding strategic alliances away from the global north. The north has the west, has America, has Europe. The south, we need to come together with India and China and Nigeria leading this great space in the world.
One of the key outcomes of this visit, still staying with you, Oshodi, is the signing of, a memorandum of understanding when you talk about the bilateral agreements in different sectors. You have defense, you have agriculture, and you have other sectors like healthcare. But let's start with trade, for instance. How do you think this agreement could impact Nigeria's economy, given the fact that there are quite a lot of opportunities, especially in different sectors of the economy in the country?
Well, India is a really, really raging, fast-growing economy. It has over 7% GDP rise every year. It's really, really quite a big place for investors. It's got a population of over 1.4 billion people, the largest population in the world, and it needs energy. It needs Nigerians' petroleum, Nigeria's gas. It needs our crude. We used to refine a lot of crude in India. So Nigeria needs a lot of manufactured goods from India, and it needs India's expertise. in health, in many things regarding trade and even maritime. People in Nigeria tend to look at the West, in America and Europe, and make a comparison like, oh, this is what we should aspire to. I believe Nigeria should aspire to places like India, the developing countries like India, Malaysia, China. They were once like us, and they are now quite advanced. So how they did it is what we should copy, not necessarily the West that has been doing it for over hundreds of years. So India is a great opportunity for Nigeria, and Nigeria is a great opportunity for India.
Let me come to you, Sriram.
Yeah.
Another key conversation or key area of conversation in this agreement is agricultural, opportunities. And I do know that India, has a lot of advancement, technological advancement, and in practice as well. I need you also to, what should we look out for in terms of exchange of values, perhaps knowledge, and of course synergy, or perhaps exchange of technology in the area of agricultural practice?
Several years back, I'm talking about maybe late 60s and early 70s, India found itself in similar situation that Nigeria finds itself today, unable to feed its population. So there was always food security issues, food adequacy issues, food affordability issues, which is what Nigeria is facing today. India has overcome all that by having a very successful green revolution. India today possibly tops most crops in the world. India would possibly be in the top 3 in terms of the volumes grown. India is one of the largest exporters of rice. India is a very large producer of wheat, all of which can be very happily replicated in Nigeria. India can support Nigeria to get good quality seeds, whether it is wheat, which Nigeria was looking out for from the US. India can support Nigeria with seeds of lentils, which India requires in large quantities and Nigeria can produce and export. India can help Nigeria with supply of rice, brown rice, which is something that Nigerian government has been discussing with the Indian government. So there are several areas as far as food is concerned and agriculture is concerned where India and Nigeria can cooperate. Technology with respect to agriculture, farm implements, tractors. India is possibly one of the world's largest producers of all these kind of things. India also moved from the hoe to the tractor and possibly understands that transition better than most of the Western countries, which possibly made more rapid mechanization in agriculture and much earlier on in their lives. Nigeria, like India, is learning how to adopt those technologies into making agriculture better. For example, during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's time, India has started having a digital passport for every parcel of land. So the government knows which parcel of land is capable of what kind of productivity, what kind of soil it has, what kind of crop it is most ideally suitable, what kind of weather patterns are going to be there, which is going to dictate what crops will grow successfully. So those kind of technologies, India would be very happy to share with Nigeria because they think of Nigeria as a brother and a country with whom we need to partner to make sure that the global south also grows. India has always believed that the world is one and that everyone is a brother and sister and we need to pull each other up. And I'm sure the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi would be more than happy to assist whatever assistance is sought by President Tinubu.
Defense, security. I mean, this is also one of the things also captured in the agreement as well. What kind of collaborations do you foresee in this context? And perhaps how could it strengthen the security infrastructure in the country? Let me come to you, Oshodi.
Well, India is definitely a very strong military country right now. The Americans seek India. They have this quad partnership with Japan, Australia, America, and India. So India cannot be ignored when it comes to defense. So they have the expertise. They have submarines. They have a large army. They can take on most advanced countries in the world. So that expertise, and India knows how to use and produce these things at a very affordable rate. We buy Indian medicine at a very cheaper rate than what is manufactured in the West. So we can also get Indian military hardware and their expertise in ensuring our maritime, especially with the pirates, as the President Tinubu said, and also in the Northeast and Northwest, where we have issues of banditry and also militancy. So the Indian expertise cannot be, overestimated or actually be engaged low in any regard. If you look at what India's scientific advancement has been, it's satellites and it's exploration to the moon. Nigeria is way behind that, so we can only learn from this. It's easier to get this expertise from places like India, China, than the West, which has all the conditions and all the issues of human rights, democracy. India is non-aligned; they don't judge you, and their products are probably cheaper and probably well made than that in the West. So it's a win-win for Nigeria militarily.
A win-win for Nigeria and India. Okay, let me get the final word from you. Let's look at what we can get out of these eventually. When do we start seeing? We know that there are quite a lot of Indian companies in Nigeria, so as well as India has the number in terms of population. Nigeria also has the number as well in terms of population. So talk to us about that before I let you go.
Let's start about numbers. India has more or less 55,000 of its people in Nigeria today. Total Indian investment in Nigeria is possibly, private sector, is possibly over $30 billion. There are very few sectors of the economy which are not touched by Indian businessmen here. Couple of years back, the Indian businesses employed more number of people in the private sector than any other set of people put together. It possibly was the second largest employer of labor after the Nigerian government. So that's quite a significant contribution in Nigeria. Second, like Mr. Ademola was saying, in terms of science and technology, India seems to have mastered how to do things at a very cost-effective way. He was talking about everything in India being cheaper. I would like to say, use a slightly different word. All Indian products are extreme value for money. We've all seen these kekes that roam around the roads of Lagos and Abuja. The cost of Indian space mission, the one that they sent to Mars, per kilometer basis was cheaper than what a tricycle consumes in terms of fuel on a per kilometer basis. So you can imagine what kind of technology and thought process went into sending that exploration to the outer space. So basically science and technology, India's knowledge there, India's ability with space technology,
right,
all of it can be used for the benefit of Nigeria, from everything to do with farmlands and countering all kinds of banditry movements, terrorist movements. Space technology and satellite technology is very useful for that, also for communication. So there is no area where Nigeria may want assistance and India may not be able to provide, provided, we make things conducive.
Well, I think a good place to leave the conversation. Ademola Oshodi is a Senior Special Assistant to the President on Protocol. And of course, Sriram is the Chairman of Fullback Group, and of course, an investor in Nigeria. Thank you so much for coming
Thank you
on the news. Thank you.